Because you've enjoyed Vegas so much, Max, here's something for you. Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. I thought you enjoyed that, mate. Well done.
Maybe I need some singing lessons from Jerry. And we can book an appointment.
Yeah, there you go, mate. Well done.
Yeah, that was Max Verstappen feeling a lot better about the Las Vegas Grand Prix at the weekend after he'd won it, but he wasn't best pleased with the atmosphere in advance. We are talking about Las Vegas and sport because the trend illustrated by that very first Formula One stop there this weekend, Las Vegas and sport is booming. So there was the F1 at the weekend, very much set to be an annual event. Vegas gets its first Super Bowl this season, and beyond just those one-off or annual marquee events, well, before 2017, Vegas had no major league teams. It had MMA and boxing, obviously. But now suddenly Vegas is in line for 4 major league teams, basically overnight. For more on all this, we're joined by Mick Akers, sport and business reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Mike, great to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, Mike, if you're the sport and business reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal, you're in a job for the foreseeable because business and sport is booming. Why don't we start with F1 first of all? Brand new track, incorporated the Vegas Strip. I was reading that Formula One have spent about $500 million to get Vegas ready to host the event. This is serious commitment. How did it all go? I know Max Verstappen didn't love it.
Yeah, I think, aside from the rain on the opening ceremony and then the water valve incident on Thursday, everything else went pretty smooth, so they still have the pending litigation tied to that when they forced fans to leave the practice session early, or not really early because they was delayed till 2:30 a.m. our time. So, that was kind of like the big sour note, I would say. But after that, everything went smoothly. Fans had a good time. You saw a bunch of celebrities here. Obviously, the Vegas glamour thing that Max wasn't too happy about. But, like you said, he took the W, and then I think his tune changed just a little bit after that.
Well, it sure did. He went from saying the whole thing was awful and that fans were just there to get boozed up, in effect. They weren't really paying attention to the race. It was a bit of a circus. And he said, I want the prestige of the event. And he mentioned all the tracks that have that prestige where racing is the main attraction as opposed to what he felt was going on last week. But then post-winning the race, he said, it was a lot of fun out there. I hope the crowd enjoyed it. We definitely did. I'm already excited to come back here next year. So for one reason or another, Verstappen's tune has changed. What is the footprint of Formula One fandom in the States? I would very much have you guys build as NASCAR, and then obviously Drive to Survive on Netflix became an absolute phenomenon. I presume everybody in Vegas, or Vegas and beyond across the States, has a reasonable understanding of what F1 is.
Yeah, now, like I said, they mentioned the show. That's kind of got some people hooked onto it. And then you got the race here in Miami and Austin, kind of built that up. And now you got Vegas kind of spreading it more west. So, fans here have been picking it up pretty good. We had a good explainer about all things F1 leading up to the race. So the fans here in Las Vegas could, get a better feel of what they're looking at and what they're watching. So I think after this race and all the, attention it generated and all the buzz it did, a lot of people were kind of saying, what is this F1 stuff? And it may have drawn some, some new fans that Max mentioned. Hey, they might not know what they're watching, which, technically probably true. But I think, just having the race here in Vegas and all the attention definitely drew some more people and some more eyeballs to the sport.
Yeah, because it's funny. I saw weirdly, just, I don't know, randomly how the algorithm sends these things my way. But I saw Bono at that new venue, which, by the way, looks absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if you've been there, but it does look to be really incredible. And he was just telling the crowd they were taking a bit of a pause because of the F1 this weekend. And he sort of said, I don't know if you guys know what F1 is. So I thought that was even interesting, that his sense is that an American crowd may not know what it is.
Yeah, it's probably the general census for, the fans around the world are way more in tune with it. Obviously out here, they're more about NFL, NBA, and, MLB and all that. So, might have been true for the most part with some of those fans. They did incorporate the Sphere into the race. Obviously, a portion of the track went there and had a bunch of the entertainment and a post-race brunch for all the high-end people that stayed in and the suites and all that kind of thing. So it was incorporated. I think going forward, they might actually try to have U2 playing during the weekend. They just didn't know about the planning, with this initial one, if that would work out. So I think looking forward and in future dates, they might incorporate the inside of that more with some more entertainment options as well.
Yeah. Well, Max Verstappen will enjoy that. So this is just part of, obviously, a bigger shift towards Vegas, which is maybe the more interesting story than just F1. And Mike, you can explain the extent to which, or maybe it's not the case at all, but this does seem to have coincided with the relaxing of gambling laws in the States. So why is Vegas suddenly the home to all of these franchises and the Super Bowl this year for the first time and Formula One? What's happening here over the last couple of years? Why is this all bubbling up suddenly?
Yeah, that was the big part of it. Obviously, the gaming aspect. A lot of the major leagues didn't even look Vegas. They wouldn't let Las Vegas advertise during the Super Bowl because of the gambling aspect. Once that was kind of relaxed, and now you see it spreading across the U.S. All kinds of sports books all over the place now. Major league sports are like, all right, we're all in on Las Vegas. So right early on, you saw NHL announcement with the expansion team, which ended up being the Golden Knights. Then the Raiders relocation came right after that. We have the WNBA as well. Obviously, they're back-to-back WNBA champions. You got the Knights, who just won the Stanley Cup. So although we've only had professional sports here for about 6 years, we already had multiple championships, which can't be said. But for a lot of markets, they've had teams for decades.
So sports franchises looked at gambling and looked at Vegas and saw it as what? Tawdry in some way, not desirable, bad PR?
Yeah, that, and they're always worried about fixing. Maybe people will be fixing games. You maybe have players betting on games. Las Vegas is a party city, so when you have teams coming here, maybe they were worried about them doing some stuff at night before games they weren't supposed to, or staying out too late. But you got big cities like New York, you have New Orleans, same party atmosphere, Miami, all that kind of thing. So it's just like the gambling aspects there. They have gambling in Miami too, and near New York as well. So it's just, I don't know. I didn't see where the big focus was with those other options there. But once that was relaxed, I think they were like, all right, now we have a reason to let Las Vegas in on this, and the money was there. The people who wanted to invest in it were here, and then obviously the attention from Las Vegas and the sports side was also there too.
2017, the Vegas Golden Knights are created. National Hockey League won the Stanley Cup this year, so I'm presuming that's seen as a extraordinary success story. 2018, women's NBA Las Vegas Aces moved to the city. And then I would think Oakland hates you guys, really, because the Raiders leave Oakland in 2020, and then Oakland A's announced they'll be leaving for Vegas as well. So you've got NFL, you've got Major League Baseball, all suddenly pitching up in Vegas. Who is paying for all this? Are these franchises paying big money to come and be the Vegas team, or is Vegas ponying up the money to build stadiums? Because that is often a contentious issue in American sports.
It's a little bit of both. Obviously, you have the team owners investing, their money. But the Golden Knights, it was fully funded by Bill Foley, the owner of the Knights, and then MGM has a little stake in that as well. And then you had some of the Maloof brothers who used to have NBA ownership with the Kings, and they used to own the Palms Casino out here. They have a minorship stake as well. So it's mainly with Bill Foley, who owns the Knights, and he was pretty much fully funding the T-Mobile Arena where they play. You have the Aces that you mentioned. They play at Mandalay Bay Event Center, which was already there. So really nothing, as far as building anything out for them. The Raiders got $750 million in public money for their $2 billion Allegiant Stadium. That's being paid for by a room tax here. Basically, anyone that comes and stays in a hotel in Las Vegas is helping pay for that $750 million. So people look at that as more as the tourists paying for it, not the locals, even though it's public money. And then you have the A's. They're earmarked about $380 million in public money to go towards their $1.5 billion ballpark they want to build out here on the Tropicana site on the Las Vegas Strip. That's going to be paid for by a tax district around the stadium, and then some tax breaks and such from the state. So that one's looked at a little bit more as they're actually going to use money that maybe can be generated and used for other things, but without the stadium, it wouldn't happen. So it's kind of looked at both ways on that one as well. So a lot of private investment, but also with some of those, you got some of the, governmental and, investment as well.
And is this a controversial thing amongst the locals?
Yeah, with the Raiders one, it was controversial at first, and then now that people have seen how it works, and it is working, some people were worried about, hey, what if it's not generating enough money? Does that fall back on the taxpayers? It's been doing great. North of $260 million already generated from the tax. Room tax, so that's heading towards the $750 million pretty easily there. We'll look at what happens with the A's. A lot of people are mad about that one, like I said, because that was looked at more as public money.
Yeah.
But now that it's approved, you kind of see some people's opinions changing a little bit. That's getting more official. I think once it's open and they get to experience a game, maybe that further expand as well. But as you mentioned, the Oakland fan base is not Las Vegas' best friend.
No.
I get a lot of blowback just from reporting stuff. It's just kind of comes with the territory. But I dealt with that with the Raiders as well.
Well, to take the Raiders bad enough, to go and take Oakland A's as well, I think is just pushing it a bit. I mean, what's left? On the Raiders, you mentioned $750 million, I think, is going towards the Raiders stadium by dint of this room tax. So how much of my $100 room in Vegas is going to the Raiders?
It's not a whole much on from an individual. It's 0.88%. So you're talking a couple dollars. So nothing crazy. There are all kinds of different room taxes that people pay when they don't know. But there's all kinds of them. It goes towards education. It goes towards infrastructure. All kinds of things. So tourism leaders out here are pretty keen about trying to get any kind of money they can out of the tourists, and that even goes towards public stuff here.
Yeah. So you're a local, Mike, are you?
Yeah, I live here. Yeah.
How do you all feel about the tourism in Vegas and the tourists? Because I think it's true of a lot of tourist destinations that there's a real degree of grinning and bearing it. And I would think in Vegas, the behaviour of every tourist isn't always the most endearing. So do the locals grin and bear it a lot? Or maybe you can't live in Vegas if you don't enjoy that scene, I suppose.
Yeah, for the most part, it's kind of, tucked away on the Strip. Most of us, live miles away from it. I live about 10 miles away from the Strip. You can see it from my backyard, obviously, but, I don't really go down there much unless I'm attending an event or a press conference or something like that. So, I let the tourists come and have their fun. I'm all for it because obviously it's the big driver of money here. Even with pro sports is adding a new element to tourism. People are coming to town just to catch their favorite team play at Allegiant Stadium, or come down for the F1 race, or check out the Knights play their favorite team, and that's going to be true with the A's as well. So I think it's just something we're all used to living out here because it has been and it will be the biggest driver for the economy. So it's just, if you live here, you come to appreciate it, I think.
Yes. So in a sense, the Strip is almost cordoned off. It's its own area. You can go about your daily life without giving it too much thought, and then if there's benefits which pay for education and services and sports teams, etc., then not a bad deal.
Right. Obviously a little bit different for me. I don't work on the Strip, but, there's tens of thousands of people that do, and I'm sure they appreciate it because that's their job as well. So, I think all around you can find anyone that might complain about something. Obviously, you can do that anywhere, but I think for the most part, people are pretty appreciative of tourism and the industry it creates.
Okay. And I guess it's one of the curious aspects of American sports that we don't really have here, whereby teams just suddenly pitch up from different cities and open their doors. So I guess American sports fans are more open to that kind of movement. I think it would be difficult here, if I'm being honest, but the Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, the Raiders, are they having big crowds? Have the Vegas people taken them to their hearts, or is there still a getting to know you kind of a phase, lukewarmy?
With the Knights, since they were an expansion, they call it Vegas born. That's one of their slogans because they're from Vegas and they haven't been anywhere else. So that's, the fan base out here in Vegas that has like the most support, I would say the Vegas Knights.
Yes.
Obviously, they came in right after the October 1 shooting incident, and they kind of took the community and, took them under their wing and gave them something to cheer for. So a lot of people look back at that and say, hey, they've always been here for us. Raiders, obviously, there was already a ton of Raiders fans out here. We're close to Southern California where they have their biggest fan base. So we get a lot of people that come down from Southern California and Northern, where they used to be, to come to games each week as well. So that fan base has been growing pretty good as well. They all have their own personalized license plates out here that anyone can get from the Nevada DMV. So we used to be way more Knights license plates you see going around on the roads. Now you're seeing a lot more Raiders ones popping up. So I think, their popularity and people are kind of taking them in now. After a few years, we have, we're known as having a transient population. A lot of people from all over the U.S. come and move here. So they all bring their favorite teams as well. But I've been noticing more people kind of adopting the Raiders now and making it their home team now, since it has Las Vegas tied to it.
Okay. Well, it's all going one direction from no teams to 4 pretty much overnight, and Super Bowl is on the way on foot at the F1 at the weekend. So very striking development in Vegas. Mike Akers from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Appreciate all the info, Mike. Thanks so much.